Welcome back. Well, let's put the spotlight on the paints business for the time being because there are lots of interesting developments happening here. The Aditya Birla Group will launch its paints business under the Birla Opus brand in the fourth quarter of this year. Group Chairman Kumar Mangalam Birla says he expects to build on the Aditya Birla brand to become the #2 player in the country. Do note the company had committed an investment of 10,000 crore rupees towards setting up this business. To talk about this and, of course, what lies ahead for the incumbents, we have Abneesh Roy joining in. He's, of course, Executive Director at Nuvama Institutional Equities. Abneesh, good afternoon. Good to have you on. I don't know, what is it about the paints business? Because it seems, all the big business groups, almost all of them want to jump right in, from the Jindals to now, we have, of course, aggressive moves coming in from this group as well, Aditya Birla. What do you make of the Birla Group's plans and in terms of just complete disruption? What are we in for over the next couple of months?
Yeah, thanks. Yes, definitely interesting development. Birla Opus brand is exactly in line with our expectation. The expected use of Birla and the use of the word Opus again shows that Grasim is looking at creating here business size based on profitable model, not being just very focused on pricing. So yes, definitely for Grasim, this is very adjacent to its current businesses like putty and white cement, etc. Important to note that Asian Paints, Berger, etc. have taken huge market share in putty against the existing cement players. So it was important for Grasim also to step in here. Of course, paints industry is very exciting from outside. You see 70,000 crore growing in double digits in most years. Paints volume growth and sales growth has been faster than consumer staples companies. And in our view, 30% of the market is in terms of local and unorganized. So that clearly will be up for grabs. How does this pan out? So this is not a 2-month time frame. This will get launched essentially 4-5 months later in Q4, February, March. But we do expect that the smaller paint companies like Kansai, Exo, and to an extent Berger also, they face a more real risk from Grasim. If you see last 20 years, no new paint entrant has created market share beyond 2% because it's a very tough entry barrier. The kind of advertising spend Asian and Berger paints do, 4 to 5% of their revenue goes towards advertising. Distribution-wise, only 1 lakh paint shops are available, and all the paint companies have direct relationship versus the cement companies which have the wholesale route. Plus, in product differentiation and distribution, not too much can be done because existing paint companies are extremely formidable. So in my view, this is more of a impact in terms of multiple. It will take a lot of time for any new player to really ramp up. But for a lot of the home decor companies which have, say, gone into paint in the last 2 years in terms of product diversification, I think this will make life that much tougher. And clearly for the smaller paint companies, clearly multiple could derate. But for Asian Paints, my sense is some derating could happen in near term because Q2 numbers will be a bit weak for paint companies because of very high rainfall and festival demand shifting. But gross and EBITDA margin will be very strong in Q2. We expect 400 to 500 pips gross and EBITDA margin expansion for Asian Paints and Berger Paints YOY in Q2, but volumes will be soft and sales will be soft.
I remember Sherwin-Williams had entered India and they're the leaders in the world paint industry, but they couldn't quite make a dent in the Indian market. And finally, Sherwin-Williams decided to exit. Abneesh, afternoon, and thanks for joining in. Grasim, a couple of months back, had also launched some sparkle painting services. That was also a pilot project. Could you just give us the correlation between that sparkle news and what they've announced today?
Absolutely. For every paint company, 2 things are there. One is the product which gets sold through the dealers, and then you have the service wherein essentially you say dial up Asian Paints and they'll come and give the full solution. So the earlier thing which you mentioned in terms of sparkle, that was essentially painting service. That was not the painting product. Painting service has already been launched. So it is obviously not through the current brand which has got announced, Birla Opus. That is the product. And they are also importing a lot of the wood finishes. Those they are currently testing, taking customer feedback, seeing how the R&D capability is in terms of product durability, product aesthetics and all that. But that is service part. But going ahead, definitely in Q4, the real product launch will happen. The advertising spends for all companies will go up. Coming back to Sherwin-Williams, yes, they are the globally #1 company and they could not compete against Asian Paints and Berger. In fact, Berger bought them. So yes, this is something which is tough. Just one last example. In consumer businesses, just distribution or manufacturing will not give you the recipe for success. We have seen Hindustan Unilever, which is India's foremost consumer staples company. They tried noodles, for example, and some of the other products, but they couldn't succeed because existing incumbents were there. So this is something which will pan out for the multiples could derate a bit for existing paint companies.
Okay, all right. We'll leave it there, Abneesh. Quick conversation today, but thanks for joining in. Always interesting listening to your thoughts. There are some flashes at the bottom of the screen. This is coming in from the DGCA.